Welcome to DREAMFORGE. In this story, we'll learn about Kyan, a poor orphan boy struggling to survive in a harsh world. One day, he encounters a mysterious voice offering him power in exchange for his soul. In a world that had no mercy, there was a boy named Kyan, a forgotten soul, drifting through life with nothing but the weight of despair in his chest. His body was frail, his spirit broken, and his existence was nothing more than an endless struggle. He was an orphan, left to fend for himself in a world that had no place for the weak. The city he lived in was cold and indifferent, its towering buildings casting long shadows over the abandoned alleys where Kyan spent his days searching for scraps, his stomach constantly growling in hunger. Every day was the same. He awoke on the cold stone ground of an alleyway, his only blanket the tattered remnants of a cloth he had found days ago. He would wander the marketplace, invisible to the busy shoppers who walked past him, never sparing a glance. No one cared, no one saw him. He was just another face in the crowd, just another beggar lost in the noise of the world. Kyan had long ago stopped dreaming. The hope that once flickered in his heart had been snuffed out by the harsh reality of his life. He was nothing. He had no family, no friends, no future. Every day he struggled just to survive, to find something to eat, somewhere to sleep. He knew that death would come one day, and when it did, no one would even notice. But even in the darkest corners of his heart, there remained a flicker of something that refused to die, a tiny spark of longing, a desire to be more than just a shadow. It was faint, but it was there, buried deep beneath the layers of pain and sorrow that had defined his life. It was this spark that kept him going, though he couldn't understand why. He had no reason to hope, no reason to believe that life could be anything other than endless suffering. Yet, every morning, when he woke up to the cold, harsh world, he still wished if only for a moment that things could be different. One evening, as the sun sank beneath the horizon and the cold wind of the night began to settle over the city, Kyan sat alone on the stone steps of a forgotten temple. His stomach was empty, his body weary, and his heart heavy with a sorrow he could no longer carry. He had given up on the world and the world had long since given up on him. That's when it happened. The voice came like a whisper on the wind, so soft at first that Kyan thought it was a figment of his imagination. He looked around, but there was no one, just the empty streets, the flickering lights, and the silence. The voice came again, this time clearer, more direct. Do you want to be free from this pain, Kyan? The voice was smooth and calm, like a distant melody carried by the wind. It felt warm, inviting, yet it sent a chill down his spine. There was something ancient in that voice, something powerful. Kyan's heart skipped a beat. He had heard the whispers of madness in his head before, but this was different. This was real. Who's there? He asked, his voice trembling with uncertainty. You do not need to see me, Kyan, the voice replied. I am not like those who walk in the light. I am the one who offers what the world cannot. I can give you the power to change your life, to rise above your suffering. All I ask in return is that you accept me. Kyan's heart pounded in his chest. He had nothing left. His life had been nothing but pain, hunger, and loneliness. For once, he didn't feel the usual fear that gripped him when faced with the unknown. He didn't care. He was ready to accept whatever this voice was offering, anything, just to be free from the weight of his existence. I accept, Kyan whispered, the words slipping from his lips without hesitation. The moment the words left his mouth, the world seemed to shudder. A dark shadow surrounded him, cold and suffocating. But it wasn't just cold, it was power, raw and untamed, filling him, coursing through him like fire. His body trembled as the darkness wrapped around him, melding with his very being. He felt stronger, faster, sharper, alive in a way he had never known. The pain, the hunger, the loneliness, they were all gone. replaced by something far greater, far darker. "You are mine now, Cayenne," the voice spoke again, but this time, there was something different about it. There was no kindness now, only a chilling command. "You will never know peace again. The world will fear you, but it will also seek to destroy you. You will rise above your suffering, but you will never escape the darkness that now resides within you." Cayenne's heart raced, a mixture of fear and exhilaration flooding his chest. He had power now and he could feel it, pulsing inside him like a storm. The boy who had once been nothing, now stood on the precipice of becoming something far greater than anything he had ever imagined. He could feel the world bending to his will. He could take whatever he wanted. He was no longer weak. He was no longer invisible. But as the darkness settled within him, Cayenne realized that he had made a choice that could never be undone. The voice had promised him power, but it had also warned him. The cost of this gift was more than he had understood. He had chosen to embrace the darkness, to let it consume him, and in doing so, he had forfeited everything he had once been. Years passed, and Cayenne's transformation was complete. The boy who had once searched for scraps in the streets now stood at the head of a kingdom of shadows. His name was feared across the land. He had wealth, influence, and power beyond measure. He could command armies, crush his enemies with a single thought, and make the world bow to his will. He was a god among men, but with every victory, Cayenne felt the weight of his soul slipping further into the abyss. The darkness he had once embraced now consumed him completely. He was no longer the boy who had dreamed of a better life. He was something else now, as something dark, something terrifying. He had gained everything he had ever wanted, but he had lost himself in the process. He could feel the emptiness inside him, a void that nothing could fill. He was alone, surrounded by power, surrounded by fear, but still, he was alone. The price of his power had been his humanity, and now there was nothing left. One night, as Cayenne stood atop his throne, looking down at the kingdom he had conquered, the voice spoke again, but this time, there was no power in it, no command. It was a whisper, a faint echo of the boy he had once been. "You have everything now, Cayenne," the voice said, "but do you still remember the boy you once were?" Cayenne closed his eyes, and for the first time in years, he let himself remember. He remembered the hunger, the loneliness, the longing for something more. He remembered the days when he had dreamt of a different life, of a better world. He remembered the hope that had once burned in his heart, but that hope was gone now. It had died the day he had chosen the darkness. Cayenne opened his eyes and looked out over the kingdom he had built. The lights of the city sparkled below him, but they held no warmth. He had everything he had ever wanted, but in the end, it wasn't enough. He was free from his suffering, but he was bound by a darkness that would never let him go. And as he stood there, staring into the cold, indifferent world, Cayenne realized the truth. Power had come at a terrible cost, the price of his soul. Thanks for watching DreamForge. Stay in touch for more love, dramatic and real stories. Have a nice journey.